Okay, I'd like to call to order the Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. The time is 6 o'clock. Members present are Audrey Fobert, Dan Lathrop, Kristen Federico, Mark McKinnon, Mike Ober, Dr. Mark Arceau, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have with us our partners, Deb Reading from Downs, our owner's project manager, Ashley Prester from DBVW, and Randall Luther from TSKP. First order of business is approval of meeting minutes from our June 12th meeting. They should have been sent in your packet. If there are no modifications to these meeting minutes, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is approval of invoices. And, public comment. We have no members of the public here to address the building subcommittee. So our next item on the agenda is approval of invoices. We have a series of invoices, and I will, looks like we have an application for payment for Springbrook roof replacement. We have two invoices from DBVW, one for Dunn's Corner and Springbrook, and one for Springbrook roof replacement. We have one invoice from Collier's Project Leaders for professional services through June 2024. And we have Downs Construction Corporation invoice number 10 for OPM services for Dunn's Corner, Springbrook, State Street, and SBES roof replacement. Nothing from TSKP here?
No, I think because we're done bidding, we haven't quite started.
Okay, all right. So we'll take these one at a time. These were part of the packet that I included in Downs communication. So the first invoice is for commercial roofing application for payment number 1 for Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement through July 10th, 2024 in the amount of $693,025, representing 49% of the total contract. Ashley, I'm assuming this is all for the material.
It is very much a front-loaded material kind of project, and if you went to Springbrook, you would see that there is a lot of material piled up there. I'll show some progress photos to show they're only billing for about 15% labor right now, but they are a lot further than that actually right now.
Okay, great. Are there any questions to either Ashley or Deb regarding this pay app? We're spending some serious cash here. So if there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in.
Only question, it seems like we're on all the, on budget, on all this, there's no change orders coming.
No.
Not for the roof project at this time. There's a discussion that we're having right now. There could be a delay in some of the ventilated roof sheeting.
Okay.
But we're looking at some code opportunities to maybe allow them to get a more readily available product. So.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Next item is DBVW invoice number 2318-13 for professional services for Dunn's Corner and Springbrook Elementary Schools through June 2024 in the amount of $43,996.52, representing a set work through 72% of the total contract for these. Deb, I probably should mention that you have reviewed all of these and recommend the approval.
Thank you.
Are there any questions regarding this invoice? And if there are none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Next invoice from DBVW, invoice number 2356-03 for professional services for Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement through June 2024 in the amount of $1,137.50. I'm presuming this is just up through whatever.
I think it was up through bidding, I believe,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Are there any questions for either Ashley or Deb regarding this invoice? And if there are none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Collier's Project Leaders, invoice number 0000951879 for professional services through June 2024 in the amount of $2,750, representing $1,375 for Dunn's Corner and $1,375 for Springbrook Elementary School. They are serving as our commissioning agent for both of these projects. So are there any questions to Deb regarding this invoice? And if there are none, if anybody wants to make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, Dunn's Corner, we'll take all of these as one motion. Downs Construction Company, invoices number 10 for OPM services through June 2024 in the total amount of $29,165, representing Dunn's Corner and Springbrook Elementary Schools at $7,160 each, State Street Elementary School at $13,395, and Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement at $1,450. Are there any questions to Deb regarding this invoice? And if not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Okay, we can pay some bills. Is there anything else, Deb, on the invoice front?
On the invoice front, no, but we do have several action items to present, so.
Okay. So this is, the next item is owner's project manager, architect update.
And I hand it right over to Ashley so he can move forward with the action items.
Yeah.
We have
They're kind of related to that.
a change order, change proposal.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so this will be relatively brief. The Board of Health submission has been approved for the kitchen. Just that's just a record item for now. Governor's Commission on Disabilities, we're still waiting on a meeting. We haven't been pushing it right now because the playgrounds are not going to be done until next year. We are coordinating. I got an email from Mark today that they had their inspections, so we'll coordinate a little bit on that front before we schedule the meeting. Local building and fire permit is being reviewed, and the fire department is reviewing their fees right now. So that's where we're on with all of that.
I don't know if this is the appropriate spot to, I'm going to assume that item is not anywhere else in the presentation.
Yes, it is
So
not. Yep.
Allow me for a second. So everything went out to bid with the direction to bidders that fees for permitting were waived, this being a municipal project. That is not unlike any other community that typically is doing public schools, where their communities are bonding for the work. The reason being is most communities don't want to charge ourselves for a review of our own project when the project costs are borne by the taxpayer. So we have the town has rightfully waived the permit fees on the building department side, and we have some disagreement from our friends at our local fire departments about whether or not they are also waiving the fees. So they are using the state permitting, the state fire marshal review criteria and fee schedule, which would represent approximately $170,000 in review fees if we were to take them directly from the actual construction costs. We are requesting that we have a more reasonable fee structure to review our own projects, and it is currently unresolved, but most of the people on this side of the table are working, or I guess on the project side of the table, are working hard to get these fees waived. There will likely be some negotiation that may require us to provide a change order to all 3 contracts or 2 contracts to incorporate some amount of review permit fee. For the life of me, I do not understand why, but that's about as far as I'll go in an editorial in a public meeting until the outcome of this is resolved.
Justin, does that have anything to do with like the town council, or is it a completely separate thing? Like the town council couldn't approve not paying the fee?
We have been told that we have been told rather explicitly that the fire departments are not town employees.
I was just confused what you were talking about. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know what
That's
you're talking
interesting.
about. I wasn't talking about
No,
anything.
no.
Is this only for Dunn's Point?
This is for
No,
everything.
it would be.
All three.
So are they the same decision-making entity? or is it
No, Dunn's
Yeah.
Corner, it's the Dunn's Corner Fire District.
Ah,
Springbrook and State Street are under
Fire
the Westerly
district,
Fire Department.
and they're all in agreement at this point.
That's the impression that we have right now, yeah.
I have had conversations with the town manager about this. I have relayed my position that it is highly unusual, notwithstanding the municipal arrangements we have between the town operations and the fire department operations. It is still highly unusual to me that we would charge ourselves for permit fees. But the challenge there is we all want to be friendly partners in this endeavor and not create any animosity with our partners in town. So it's a rather delicate conversation, I guess I'll say.
You got lost it. Technical difficulties, please stand by.
Oh, because I probably moved the window.
Okay.
They go to one.
All right. So just a further update on Dunn's and Springbrook. We are having regular construction meetings. We are continue to be asking for a detailed construction schedule. We do have a 4-week look ahead. We were going to see it tomorrow at the job meeting, but we received it today. It's showing they are continuing to put erosion control in place on the Dunn site. I'll check tomorrow about Springbrook. I didn't want to put it on here because I hadn't visited the site yet. Temp fencing is installed on both. They are putting up protection for the abatement of the first floor at Dunn's. Wall painting is taking place at both schools. And excavation has started at Dunn's for the addition. We had a site pre-construction meeting today to go over the procedures, testing, and all the different people that are involved with that. I think there's like 9 or 10 people on that call today. So we have before you change order number 1, which is mostly administrative work. It is for the 4 alternates that I had you approve at the last meeting. This is the way we can modify the contract now, is through the change order. We did receive confirmation that the numbers received on bid day are the numbers that they are going to hold. And then we also have change proposals CP 001 are 2, 3, and 4. We have discovered that when all the furniture and posters and everything else are taken off the walls at Springbrook, that the walls have vinyl wall covering on them. It's not a paint. It's not a Zolatone type paint. This is not something we can paint over, and it's peeling, as you can see in a couple of the top photos. In some areas, especially on the lower level where the moisture issues are prevalent. So we met with the CA advisory group on the 2nd of July. It was Mark, Chris Duhamel, and Chris Lund. And we had 2 change proposals, R2 and R3, approved to do the work at the lower level of Springbrook, which includes removal of all the wall covering, which is usually 3 walls in every classroom. And then prepping the wall, getting rid of the adhesive residue, fixing any holes, things like that. And then the paint was part of our regular scope. We'd already owned that. So for the lower level, it was the 2 amounts of 56, 77, 52, which were approved by the advisory group as you deputized them at the last meeting. We have the balance of the school. So that was 6 classrooms. We have the other 13 in the amount of $31,184.77. It winds up being about 3 man days per classroom or so to do the work, which is pretty reasonable when you think of taking the wallpaper off, cutting around all the marker boards because they're glued to the walls, and dealing with all that stuff. So it's an unforeseen condition. It's our first of probably a few surprises that we'll have on the job. So the first action item would be for the approval of change order 1, so that we can increase the value of the contract by $271,355.04. And then that means that Tower will be able to bill against that at their first rec next month.
Any questions here to Ashley? So, go ahead.
Are we, so the one that's below, are we not including that right now? But that's the others?
No, that's one of the walls that it looks okay, but when you get up close, even those seams are starting to peel a little bit.
So it's included in that?
It's all of it. It's
Okay.
every classroom.
Okay.
Right?
Are you talking about the amount of 31,000?
Yes.
Yes, I thought that's what.
This is for the 6 times 2 for the 2-story classroom wing.
Right.
And then I think it's 7 classrooms. Yeah, because that'd be 12 plus 7 is 19.
But it is not included in change order 1.
Oh, it is not?
No,
That was my question.
this, I'm asking right now just for the 271. The other amount will be approved by this committee because it's above the 10,000 threshold for the advisory group. And that would be included in addendum in change order 2, which we'll process
That's
next
right.
month.
Yeah, thank you.
So right now, we're just looking at change order 1.
What does this do from an overall budget standpoint? Are we still on? Or is there?
So it gets taken out of our project contingency,
It does.
which is allocated for each
Which our
Project.
contingency, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't miss that line, Justin. Our contingency for Duns right now is, for Springbrook is $345,227.
Okay. And for Duns,
It is 578, 532.
that's a percentage wise.
It's 5%.
So what you have to look at with the change order with the numbers she's giving you is it's just for this amount and this amount. So it's a total of about $42,000. The rest of the alternates was something, that was the money that was outside of that was planned as outside of the contingency amount.
Which we still have a balance of $1,245,000 unallocated.
So these are the types of things that are not uncommon when you're doing existing renovations. It's where we are in the budget when we encounter these type of things. We need to make an evaluation as to whether or not it becomes deferred or we address it within this project. At the time that it came up, if we're taking things off of the wall, if painting, repainting, if we're doing flooring in there, it struck me as something that needed to be done. So I asked the working group that reviews the lower change order, in order to not delay the work that's happening this summer, we asked them to review these 2 proposals so that we could get to this meeting. Now, I kind of went out on a limb a little bit in this vein of assuming that the rest of the subcommittee would agree with this work. But now would be the opportunity if we needed to discuss the $31,000 number. I personally think it's work that needs to be done. It will make a difference and an impact within the classrooms. And we currently have money in our contingency, and this is what we should be spending the contingency dollars on.
Right.
And I would say the only thing to make sure of is whatever we paint it with, make sure we don't put ourselves in this situation again in 15 years.
Repaintable?
Yeah, I would say that's the
Yeah,
only
no,
major
It's
thing.
a quality commercial paint.
Yeah,
that
just
we-
making sure we don't end up in the
Yeah.
same situation.
Low VOC paint, so we're not gonna get off gassing for the kids in September, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We went so far as to consider whether we could actually take the seams, try to save wall covering.
No,
And first of all, it truly is a terrible color. It's
Yeah.
it's this
The 90s
awful
mauve.
mauve, yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's coming up everywhere, and it would have the labor would have been so intensive to try to glue it back down,
And who knows how long it would stay.
yeah, and to paint over it, the paint would have just come
Yeah.
off.
oh, I think this is
So,
definitely worth it. I was just,
Yeah,
as long as, I think the biggest thing is, as long as we kind of keep a running tally
Yeah.
and know where we're at
Oh,
in our
absolutely.
contingency almost.
Yeah.
So we,
I'll always
Okay,
have that.
That's her job every month,
Yeah.
to look at that.
yeah, so that's,
Where we at,
yeah.
after the change orders, to always get added in.
and the
I'll
other
start
thing is,
including the budgets.
if we're
into
getting to
backup.
the end, making sure we put it into the FF&E and
Okay.
things like that if we
Well,
can't.
the idea is we wanna
Yeah.
spend the money,
Right.
we just don't wanna spend more money than we have. Exactly.
Okay, so you need some formal motions
I-
first on change order number 1.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None.
Was this included in your packet, so you have the value for the minutes? Otherwise, just for the record, it's 271-35504.
Yeah, so
Okay.
each of these go into
Yes.
a thing. I referenced that the subcommittee has approved it versus, what the vote is and everything. I think this document is gonna need to get circulated to the other. Ashley, you're the only one that's signed this.
Correct, yeah, no, it needs to be signed by by Dr. Garceau and the contractor. Yeah, and if the backup wasn't included on that, typically, the change order has every single generating document, and the change proposal for R2 and R3 includes a note that this was approved by the advisory.
Yeah, it was all.
Yeah.
It's all in there, that's-
So,
it's what it is.
Okay, so, and I presume you also want a formal approval of the 001R4.
yes, we reasonly want the approval now is so that the contractor can feel confident that it is approved and that they can proceed with the work, knowing that it will be in the next change order.
Okay, would anybody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? None, okay, great.
So the only other thing I have is an update quickly on the roof. You already paid the requisition from Commercial Roofing, but you can see on the upper left is the bountiful amount of material they have on the roof, in the parking lot and on the roof right now.
Incidentally, Ashley, did the Westerly Fire Department charge us any fees on this permit application?
I believe so, and I believe Commercial has paid it. I have not asked. I can ask the project manager tomorrow, but I believe they did. Yeah.
I questioned it because if I
The documents are the
calculated
same.
that out, it was
Yeah.
over 600,000. So I thought there was 600,000 over $6,000.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I
So,
think
but
they
there
just
was-
included it as part of their,
Well, perhaps that would be a down
Money.
payment on another review.
And considering that it said that the fees were waived, I was surprised they wouldn't have brought it up, but
yeah.
we'll ask tomorrow.
Thank you.
So you can see that, and I don't know if we've received any noise complaints in the town, but they vacuumed all the stone off the roof. I don't know, Mark's got a smirk. We haven't heard any.
Nothing's coming.
Okay, that's good. I was expecting several calls the first day. Yeah. So the ballast has been removed. They are, what you see in the upper right and the lower left is the state as of, I believe, yesterday was from these field reports. We have a daily part of your proprietary spec is a daily observation by Garland Roofing.
Yes,
So we are getting daily reports with him on site, seeing this. It's great.
it is great, yeah, very detailed.
And it allows you to make sure that the multi-layer roofs, everything's being installed per spec, and that we can very easily monitor the process. So
Are these being saved somewhere? So that's, all right, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah.
10 years from now. That's even.
oh yeah, and you'll see the field reports from myself and any of my consultants as well whenever we're on site. So they'll have the same thing, off photos and everything. So you'll have a status report throughout the project. We are. I definitely with Deb the other day that I think they're going to be done with the flat roofs within another week or so. It's amazing how fast they're working. I did mention that we do have a potential delay on the sloped roof plywood. We're trying to resolve that now. They're saying that if they provide the product the way we specified it, it would be here at the end of August, which puts us in a real crunch. We're trying to see, we have an interpretation of the code. We're asking the building inspector for his opinion if he agrees with us, and in hopes that we can accelerate that again. So again, another thing that was odd, and this is more just for record to inform the committee, we received an email from RIDE beginning of this week that said that despite the fact that we have declined review for the project, it was under their purview to review every project. So, and approve. So it pretty much is a record item right now. They approved it.
Right.
So we have it approved, and we'll follow that up in the spring. Contract was signed on 6/30. As I said, work's proceeding on schedule, if not ahead right now. And we talked about 49% of the construction was paid today. So, but it's a 2-month project, so you pretty much would expect that the majority of it would be in these 2 months. So, and I think that's it. Yep. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a little interim here, to report on all 3 schools. This year, RIDE has a new form required, Form F114, which requires us to submit documentation as to the start of the project. And we either can submit our executed contract or a notice of award. They want to also see the RFP documents. And by submission, they're saying the project has started on time before June 30th, because that has been the deadline of the funded MOA agreement. So I got those. Thank you, Justin, for the information. I don't know how you so quickly pull up this information when we asked for it, but I got all the information to Cindy, and today she did submit those forms. So we're all in the clear on these, and I know especially the State Street, that was a monumental effort to meet that date. So good job, everybody.
So one of the things that was just to give flowers where they're due here, I was unaware that the Form F-114, I don't know why they named it after a fighter jet, but they required both the chair of the school committee and the president of the town council to sign. And this, it's unclear to me whether or not we needed to have the signatures by June 30th or if the form could occur after. So we kind of rushed the week before the 4th of July, towards the end of the week, and both Mr. Salino and Mr. Aiello were within 24 hours signing the document. So thank you to both of them.
Absolutely. And we had one handed when I got to Cindy, she said, no, all these forms go in by the 15th. I said, okay, Cindy, you're all set. But now we're official. We
So by doing that, all our projects can still qualify for the maximum reimbursement of 55%.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we met our goal.
Good.
Randall, you want to give us an update and walk us through our alternates?
Alternate, I guess.
Alternate, okay.
We don't want that one. No, we don't want that one. There you go. You go to the next one, I guess. So we're kind of in a holding phase. We're waiting for the signature from the contractor on the contract. I had a call, we talked to them today. They have a meeting in their office tomorrow. They don't think, Sergeant Dave Longo, who's been our contact person, he says he doesn't think there's an issue, but tomorrow they'll get back to us. They've appointed a project executive, it's Joe Vitro. I've worked with Joe Vitro on a very large middle school project not long ago. He's very good. And so he'll be taking over the communications, he'll be the point person, the staff of the job. I impressed upon them the importance of getting out there in August, and getting the temporary fencing in and getting the site set up so when students and teachers and staff show up on day one, the site is the way it's going to be for the year, not in October after everyone's established their patterns and then we've got to change them. They assured me that they have their temporary fencing guy on contract, and they plan on getting out there and having the site ready to go so that first day of school it will be set up for them. So this is just kind of, summarizing kind of where we are. We'll sign the contract hopefully next week or two. And then the summer they'll mobilize out there, in particular to get the temporary fencing in there and potentially the construction access points. I think construction will start in earnest in September. It'll run through, to April of 2026. And then May and June, we'll do the install of furniture and technology so that come the summer of 2026, we can move in so that you'll have a nice, seamless, unrushed opening, which will be unusual for me in a public school. And then phase 2 will begin. They'll put up another sort of temporary fence, so the school will be open, and then the front of the site will be kind of off limits, and they will take down the existing school and then finish up the site work for the next one. So this is what the site will look like come September, basically. The construction fence will kind of come right off the end of the building. I think we're about 7 or 8 feet off the face of the building and jog around. We've left enough room so that there's egress from anywhere to all the sides and still allow them enough room. We're really tight here. That's the pinch point on this plan. And then they'll have construction access here and there. This one, the grades are kind of uneven there. It's up to them if they want to make use of that. So that'll be phase 1, will be all the work. In fact, they'll fence off the entire site, but that'll be the dividing line. So that when kids show up, this part of the lower part of the site will be available. The upper part will be off limits.
Randall,
Yes.
are there trucks and things gonna be able to get down? Do they know how steep that? Yeah, okay. It's really steep. I just
They'll
can't
probably also, if they need to regrade
Okay.
that area.
Yeah, because they have to put tracking mats, which is to bring in a lot of stone, so they'll use that to
Yeah.
use that
It's
grade.
pretty steep.
And they'll probably replenish it multiple times over the course of construction.
Yeah, you have to expect that. They're used to stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. They are.
Now, for the construction access of Westminster, do you think we should be giving notification to the senior center? Of what's gonna,
Well, so
which also the resident of that
yeah,
adjacent house is
I would say as much communication as you
the
can.
senior center member on the board, right? So-
My guess is that, I don't know, I think you need to get the contractor engaged to understand how they are gonna.
Right.
I believe the Hollis Street entrance is probably all the
Yeah.
access. The secondary access is likely, for emergencies, or I don't think you're gonna be seeing a lot of traffic through there.
no, maybe a pickup or two or something, but
Yeah, once they're fully engaged, the superintendent, and we can talk. I mean, I still think they may want to, I was up there today before the meeting, and because I remember last time, when we were out there, we took some photographs because it was heavy rain and this was all underwater. And I was kind of curious, what is the drainage system there? And it's very interesting, there is no drainage system. There's a drain here, which takes care of this, but all of this sheet flows into this swale, and everything here sheet flows into that swale. And I thought maybe there's some kind of dry well in there. There's nothing. So the water just goes there, and then in a heavy rain, it can't accommodate that, and it just backs all up. So, I'm wondering if there's a conversation with the contractor and the senior center that in exchange for maybe temporary using that lot, that they get in there and, provide maybe a dry well and kind of help with the drainage. It could be a win-win. But, we'll wait till they're on board, and it's up to them how they want to manage that. Next. So what I did want to bring up to the committee tonight, you may recall we had some discussions probably back in design development or schematic design about the music room and the gym and whether there's a stage and if it's elevated and how that would work. And we ended up with no elevated music. It's all the same level, but there's a folding partition between the two that could be opened up, and then that could serve as a stage. And we have it set up with some curtains and things so that you could seat everybody and it could function as a stage. And that's what's in the documents. But as we were finishing up the documents, and as we were going through the various checklists, and I was writing the specifications, the New England CHIPS requires that we meet certain acoustic criteria. And the acoustic criteria for a music room is that all the walls surrounding it have a sound transmission class, an SDC of 60. That's just the higher the number, the better it is at reducing transmission of sound. And as I'm writing the spec for folding partitions, I find nobody makes a folding partition that meets a sound transmission class of 60. The best are mid-50s. And I checked probably half a dozen manufacturers. So I put in an alternate at that time because, as we know, it was a compressed schedule. And so we have an alternate, if you go to the next one, to delete the folding partition and put a solid wall in pads if, we decide we want to do that for $43,000. So the question really for the group is, we have this kind of weird situation where we want the folding partition and we think it's, you think it's useful for your educational delivery. It's a brand new school, you should get what you want. But the New England CHIPS has this, rather blunt instrument saying you got to have an SDC 60 wall. So I've been doing some research, and we're talking to our sustainability consultant to see is there a workaround? Is there, it's a mandatory requirement. They have requirements that are optional and things that are mandatory. It's all under their mandatory requirement that you have to comply with this other standard, which has lots of requirements. So we're going to see if there's a workaround. Worst case, at the end, we're supposed to submit a document saying that we met the requirements of CHIPS. End of story. I mean, I would be comfortable putting an asterisk on that, saying that the district, artfully worded, has opted to, in this case, for programmatic reasons, deviate from that in this one instance. Other than
Could that mess up matching?
What's that?
Could that interfere with the matching from the state?
Well,
I don't think so.
yeah, I mean, those are good questions, and I'm not prepared to say that right now. But that's kind of what I'm thinking is probably the way out. Unless that's why Rick is here today. Unless you're thinking, it wasn't all that such a great idea on second thought, because I do have some legitimate concern between a music room and a gym. Both are very loud spaces, and I don't want to hear. You probably want to hear. A year after school's open, I can't teach in this space. All I hear are kids running around the gym and the gym teacher complaining. I keep hearing them playing the same song all day. I'm going to lose my mind. That's not saying
we got rid of the stage, right? We got rid of the stage with the other schools.
Right.
How important do you think it is, Audrey?
Well, it's not elevated, so it's not really a stage, but,
Right.
I think the biggest thing is it, how soundproof is it? Because that was one of the discussions we had, thinking it was soundproof. Because you're right, those are two very loud, very different. So I would rather say sound quality is more important to me than opening it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to, I don't know how to best represent to you all the difference between a sound SDC 60 wall and 54 wall. And if they're playing, instruments in the music room, what am I gonna hear in the gym, or, and in what volume, or
It may just be inherent to the idea that it is a movable partition.
Well,
There's going to be
yeah.
sound
Well,
to get around it.
the other big thing is with a movable partition, do we foresee it being moved very often, or do we foresee stuff getting put on it to the point where
Yeah,
it's
put
like
flyables
you
on
can't
it,
move
yeah.
They're going to move it, yeah.
Yeah, and then a year in, we did this, we paid an extra, like $43,000 in it,
I
so,
know. I'm thinking that
no,
it's not,
movable wall that never moves.
I'm thinking
I
that
don't
it's not
think
worth
it's
the,
pressing.
I don't either. We've had no stage, I mean, that, and you're saying it's not even really
No,
a
it's
stage,
the
but we've
same-
never had
the
this
same
forever and we've been okay. They would just walk into the gym.
Yeah,
On the other
having
side.
just attended a fourth grade promotion at State Street, and thank you for name checking me,
No
Audrey,
problem, thanks.
in the 100-degree gymnasium at State Street. You have a stage there, you didn't
Yeah.
orient
No.
anything.
Well, that's because it's our only storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pressing. I would rather say sound quality is more important than, the opportunity to use it a couple times a year.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's the overriding goal, then I would recommend that you delete it, because it's just not gonna be as good as a wall, and you could very well get some complaints. And then at that point, the fixes are easy.
And we save a little bit of money.
But a lot of recorders are $43,000.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Randall, does that change include additional sound insulation in that wall?
Yeah, so the deduction for the folding partition actually is more than that, quite a bit more than that, but in its place, we have to put back a more substantial wall, so that, and then we have to continue the gym wall pads, which we couldn't put on the folding partition. We can now run across that, so you get gym wall pads and a more substantial wall. And then also in that case, I think we also are deleting, we had a traveler curtain. You won't have a traveler curtain, so some of that comes out as well. So that's the net value you got as a credit.
So So I think you're hearing consensus from the subcommittee. Would you like a formal motion?
I think, yeah, because we can then put it right into the contract as an accepted alternate, and then they can move ahead with that.
Okay, would anybody like to make that motion?
Make a motion to approve the permanent wall in place of the moving wall.
Second?
Should, if I knew the alternate number, that would make it just say accept alternate number, whatever, but.
Yeah, in full disclosure, since we're in discussion, the motion's been made second. When Randall and I discussed this, I kind of thought that we would say, why don't you guys go think about it and, poll your folks, unless we got as definitive of a response as we are now. So I think we're comfortable moving it. Okay, any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
There is one other alternate that may be taken, but doesn't need to be taken now, it can be taken frankly a year from now or more. And that is we had added a fence between the new school and the wetlands, kind of on the north side of the property. Actually, if you go back to the site plan. Yeah. So the new building goes here, and actually it was a ride had asked, they wanted to fence off all the wetlands. I said, no, that's nature trail, and that's the whole point of it. We wanted kids to engage, not put behind a fence. And they were kind of particular about that. So I would put it in, but we made it an alternate. So it's a deduct alternate. So if we decide in the end we don't want to build it, they would just not build it, and we'll distract the amount that they've got set aside for that. This is not a lot of money, but
Remember that
that's
little
still.
thing with like the little like walking back there, the original, I know that was like a long time ago in the design, but it was cool.
Exactly. I mean, having a whole school that looks out on a chain link fence
Yeah,
just doesn't have
right,
the same
exactly.
feel, right?
I think everybody, nobody working on the project asked for it
Right.
or recommended it. It was a RIDE edict. And I think at the time, in order to get past
Right.
that review threshold, we said, we'll put it in, we'll make it an alternate. I am comfortable making our argument to RIDE that we don't want it. So, but we don't, as Randall mentioned, I don't think we need any action item on it yet.
And all the other alternates were all VE items that we've discussed in the past, we didn't want to take, we just put them all on in case we ended up with a big disaster with the responsibility. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So we're in a good place. Okay.
Great.
Any other questions?
Oh, yes. I know I missed one meeting, so maybe this was already answered, but the meeting before that, we had talked about talking to the neighbors in the neighborhood. Are we any?
Yep.
You did.
I did, so actually, it's a good time you brought that up because the document that's up there is a perfect example. Mary Kay, the parent liaison, and I visited every house that you can see, plus at the bottom of the screen, you can't really see the houses, but we talked to many of the neighbors who were home. We gave them a flyer with some information about it, with our personal cell phone numbers and our emails and the school phone, and said, anytime.
Yeah.
give us a
Personal
call.
cell phone,
Yeah, well, it's the school department.
Okay.
Because Dr. Garceau's cell phone.
Yeah,
That's right.
please call. But they were great. They were very excited. All the neighbors we spoke to were very cordial, really. And there was a guy who was just moving in. He was like sweating, unpacking his box. He was like, I'm so excited. So he didn't even mind that you bought a house not knowing there was a new school going up.
Wow.
That's
So
great.
they were really
Yeah.
great.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll go a long way.
me too.
I just have one more action item for approval. Last month, we went out to an MPA bid through the town for a third-party testing and inspection agent, which these projects, as with most, it's a standard requirement, requires a third party, which means it can't be the general contractor's agent who's doing these required inspections. They're in the specifications. Each section of the specifications has a quality control. It'll talk about inspection of bottom of trench, compaction requirements in lifts, all different mandates that are in there stated. And they also have a section on special inspections, and those usually apply to masonry, steel, and other items. So we needed to have a third-party inspection agency on board. We have $135,000 in our budget as an allowance for that. And usually these are contracted or purchase order out to the agency on a per event fee basis, because it's hard right now to know how many we're gonna have. We're talking to tower construction about consolidating as many tests as possible. So if we're having the agent, the testing technician come to town, he's going to one site, he's taking a concrete cylinder, he's going to the other site doing the same. He's not just driving around day in and day out, or possibly having a multitasking technician who comes and does this, and does this in the same day. So we put this out, we had 2 responses, because it's a very short list on the MPA. The MPA is the Rhode Island, I'm sure you know, so we should probably focus this on that, is the master price agreement, which is I don't know how to call it. It's something that the state has put together with vendors. Yeah, thank you. Here you go. It's a website everyone can go and look at, and it can be used by public entities to purchase through. There's unit pricing on that site. There's maximum fees that can be charged. But these people have all gone through the process of being vetted out by the state, and I know that the low bidder has been on there for some time. I did some research into them. I've talked to them in the past about working on other projects. So we had 2 responses, one from John Turner and one from Private Consulting. And if you have a chance to look at the results that I sent out with the agenda, Private Consulting is much lower. So the motion is to move forward with Private Consulting with a contract not to exceed, at this time, $135,000 based on unit prices submitted for this bid.
Okay.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
This is for all three, the testing.
All
agent for
three, right. For all three
projects.
schools, exactly. And the breakout for school is $35,000 for Dunn's, 35 for Springbrook, or excuse me, 30 each for Dunn's and Springbrook, and 75,000 for State Street. That's the allocation.
If there are no questions regarding this recommendation, I think we need a formal, so this is, does this need to go in front of the school committee then to, this is, I'm assuming every other contract that we've had, we've recommended, we've advised, we've recommended award to the school committee to authorize it. I think that's the way that we need to do this one. Right, yeah. Because we don't have the authority to award contracts, we have the authority to recommend.
And when do they meet again?
Next week?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, so would anybody like to make a motion to recommend to the school committee contract award to Prime Consulting for third-party testing inspections and special inspections in the total amount not to exceed $135,000?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. So Mark, we can make sure that gets on the school committee. Awesome. Anything else? Okay. I lost my agenda. Okay, next item on the agenda is capital projects update.
Okay, quickly, the seal and stripe has been completed. The two parking lots over there for the students and teachers' lots are all done, really great. The ESSER project for Babcock and Wharf, the air exchanges, we're at the phase where abatement will be underway next week. They're gonna start coming in, taping off, and getting that started. You heard about the roof at Springbrook, underway, on time, on budget. The vestibules for both Babcock and the middle school will begin next week, starting in Babcock. They are estimating being at the middle school by the end of the month. The door hardware has a similar schedule. They're going to begin late next week, starting at the middle school, then transferring over to Babcock, and then doing board labs. The alarm upgrades to all the panels in the district is ongoing. We have 2 schools completed. Middle school is underway. The gym floor refinishing is going to be starting on the 22nd of this month. They're doing a project in Mass, and when they finish, they're going to head this way, so it could be sooner. And then the gym lockers. I have some news for you guys. We went out to bid, and low bidder came back under budget. This is from Stillwater Construction, so you see at the top our budget amount, the A&E fees from Studio Jade, base bid from Stillwater, and our alternates. I am recommending the highlighted ones to be included, as well as the vanity for the girls' locker. But seeing how the ceiling tiles, well, first of all, the athletic lockers put us over budget, so we unfortunately can't afford those. But the ceiling tiles we could handle through operation budget. The cabinets in the storage room, I had an idea of engaging the students here in our construction program. Maybe they can build them for us. And then painting the walls and the existing lockers we could take out in-house as well. So it looks like we could afford all that.
What are athletic lockers versus just regular?
They have a set of team lockers, and then they have the PE gym lockers.
Okay.
So we're going to upgrade the team lockers. PE lockers are not used anymore.
Yep.
Okay, so are there any questions? Are you looking for a recommendation to award this to the school committee? Are there any questions to Mark on this one? I can tell you, Dan Kenny, okay, tell him I said hi.
Okay.
I'm in his fantasy football league from 15 years ago. And for whatever reason, I'm still in it. But anyway.
They are currently a sub on the air exchange project, so they're in town, they're in the buildings, And that's partly why their numbers were as low as they were.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to recommend this award, understanding the request for the accepted alternates?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We're spending some money today.
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad you guys stuck around, because I do want to talk about next steps. We have, as we had mentioned at the last meeting, it makes sense that we'll meet today. We won't meet for our second meeting in July unless something crazy happens and we need to schedule a special meeting. We'll plan on meeting on August 14th at our next meeting. So what I would like to do is understand from Audrey, hopefully is her stuff still here? Okay, good.
Yes.
I would like to schedule a groundbreaking ceremony for all projects to align at State Street, and hopefully to align at whatever the back to school night is, but I don't know when that is going to be.
You can see if it's in the calendar
Okay.
yet. I don't know how we're actually even doing it because it's typically right back there. So
Well-
I mean, she could probably move it to the front, but,
My guess is that I don't know how much work is gonna be going on at ONG.
oh, I didn't know that we were allowed to go in.
Well, if there's nobody on site, then there's no open excavations or anything, I'm sure. that
Yeah,
they-
well, and I mean, O&G will probably want to be there. And
Of course they will.
Shovels and, I don't know if
Yeah.
they say O&G.
The golden shovels, yeah.
It's typically, I don't see it in here, but it's typically, whatever the PD days are, it's typically, I think it's like the second PD day. So is that
August 29th,
August 29th is the,
Thursday.
it's gonna be somewhere in there, I
Okay,
think.
all right.
Wait,
So,
oh, August, sorry.
yeah, August 29th is the last Thursday.
Thursday, I would say that's probably it, but
Okay, because we can certainly discuss this at the meeting on the 14th, but I think we need to land on a date so that we can, this is, I'm sure all our friends that are running for election in town will want to be at this thing. We'll certainly want to thank the town council, thank the school committee, thank everybody. So,
is that school badge plan already? No.
So we're just talking about the groundbreaking that we talked about earlier today. So Chris has the same concern that your place is gonna be tight for that event, but maybe we can do something different.
I think we can do something on a smaller scale, for sure.
we don't need to align it with back to school night for that. I mean, we can schedule something, we'll certainly probably get enough people to show up. So I think we want to do it the week before school starts. So.
Sure, and then if we do it on a PD day and teachers or staff who were there can participate, we can invite
Mhm.
anyone, or we'll figure that out.
Do you have many staff who also have kids in the building? We could have some
Not
kids
as
there.
many anymore.
Yeah, most of them have grown out.
We have maybe
One.
maybe.
Oh, no, he's one of those.
You know.
Round up a few ringers.
We will,
Yeah.
we can find some. Sure.
Well,
So-
I think you either want,
I
think
think
it
you'll
would
get people to come if they have time to prepare. I think you'll get, like, students,
Yes,
I
I
think you'll
definitely
get
think
people to
so.
come.
I mean, you can either get some of the outgoing fourth graders that are going into the middle school. You can get whatever the last class that's going to be attending State Street would be symbolic of,
Yeah.
having there.
He did say, Audrey, that we could maybe go into the fenced area where we typically do it, because there might not be a lot going on. So if that's the case, it's a little bit easier.
Right, there's nothing happening yet, just the fence.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is almost 7 weeks though. I would think that there may be something going on there, but I'm not sure. Certainly for a groundbreaking ceremony, it's not uncommon to be in the construction zone, but to have three crazy kids running around it, it's probably not.
Yeah, probably not a good
Yeah.
idea. Back to school, is that the 27th? I don't even know.
I think you said the 29th is the Thursday.
Okay, I'm gonna do that one. I think that's the last of the back to school night of the PD days.
Okay,
Do you prefer the 29th or do you prefer the 28th?
20, I think 29th works.
Okay.
About what time?
I mean, if you want to do it close to the end of the school day, then I would say like a 3-ish.
Okay, and typically we
All
go,
right,
we start at
2:30,
like 2:35 or 2:30. Yeah, I think so, something like that.
So maybe 3:30.
So 3:30 on the 29th.
Sure.
All right, we'll get ONG on board.
Yep.
We can start painting up the shovels.
I think we also need to get, I know Tower's not on site, but we're kind of gonna cover, I wanna make sure that we're recognizing the project teams and the contractor for State Street, Springbrook and Dunn's,
All
all in one.
Is there like a golden shovel?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
The real fancy, they get little shovels for the kids.
Oh,
Yeah. Little hard hats. Yeah.
That's
Hard
what
hats.
Is there gonna be any competition on whose hard hat, where's the logo, if the committee gets to wear?
They have to have all the logos.
Big photo op. It should hopefully be a very hot day and everyone will be in suits and ties.
Okay, so we should, typically, the way that these things go, let's, in the working group, let's kind of figure out a program. Typically, you give superintendent, the chairs and the chair of the school committee, the president of the council, if they wish to speak, their time to shine. So, and then all of the real people that did the work get to mutter.
Yeah, we just stand in the background.
For the Springbrook ribbon cutting, Jeff Reed did the ribbon.
Oh, yeah?
I was gonna say also like the paper,
Yeah,
We're gonna want
Paper.
our,
Yeah.
look, every single one of our state senators and reps that
Yeah.
are running for office
even
this
my
year, they're
governor
gonna wanna
can
come.
send an invite to
Yeah.
me, you never know, we might be in the area.
And
In
probably-
August, it's a lot easier to get them down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend Ride as well, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, oh yes, absolutely, Dr. Silva usually loves those photo ops.
With Mario.
Yep.
Okay, so
That's that.
29th, it is at 3:30. And we'll work backwards from that date, that time.
Be on the list.
So Justin, we put an actual invitation together?
Yeah, I think so. It can be an email invitation, it doesn't, we don't need to, it doesn't need to be anybody's, save the date.
So when you guys
Yeah, I think so.
One of those ones that
RSVP.
explode when
Yep.
you open them with confetti. Yeah.
What about the neighbors? Would you invite
Yes,
those
yeah.
ones that? want-
Open to the public.
Those, we probably don't have their emails though, right, so.
No, I think we just, maybe
Right.
for the direct,
We
for
can do something
for
that-
everybody that that is outside of the specific dignitaries that we want, we just say that issue kind of a public invitation.
And, I can't believe I'm saying this. Probably put it on Facebook as like
I was gonna say the
Yeah.
same thing. Well, you have it, where there's a Westerly, like
Yeah.
there's a Facebook page and every school,
The wire.
that's the way.
That's how most of the
It
parents
is.
find out about it.
Yeah.
The beach.
Well, then,
Yeah.
just go make an announcement.
Okay. Okay, anything else for next steps?
I just have a clarifying question on that. Is there like a capacity?
Yeah.
Just whoever can get back there in that construction area.
Yeah, I think we'll just need to, once the ONG gets,
Yeah, I can call Paul and tell him this is what's planned,
Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna have going on?
Yeah.
And we can figure out what. I mean,
Some
they
of
can
the
also
public
take
could be in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, they
Not
can take a
everybody
pile
has
of
to-
dirt and dump it out
That's
front.
right,
and
yeah,
we throw it
usually
right,
around.
right.
They can all throw dirt.
yes. I'm sure that they'd like to have that in front of the ONG scrim on the fence.
council from very great.
Okay, so with that, we'll coordinate with you guys. We're gonna want the, or we still have some of the boards around. Yeah, for the buildings, we may wanna grab them, put them on some easels, all that good stuff. So, okay, awesome. We got a plan.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda, so anything else for next steps? Okay, no public comment again. So item number 10, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None.